1585 BC, 23:10 AM. At the beginning of the year, Joseph Diosa, aged 110, died, and the Egyptians mourn and bury him in the tombs of the kings, known to us as the Valley of the Kings. This area is placed under heavy Egyptian guard due to a state secret concerning a prophecy uttered by the sorcerers of Egypt, that when the bones of Diosa are removed from Egypt, the land will suffer great plagues and darkness. At the start of the year when Joseph died, it was still the 71st year since Jacob brought his house from Canaan to live in Egypt. Also in this year, King Magron died, known better as Thutmose I, after exactly 40 years of co-rulership of Lower Egypt with Diosa, Joseph. Thutmose I is succeeded by his son Thutmose II, whose reign would only last 9 years. The death of Joseph, Thutmose I, and the prophecy of Joseph's bones occur 138 years, 1656 months, being 552 times 3, or 414 times 4, before the fulfillment of the prediction in 1447 BC, with the 10 plagues on Egypt and exodus of Israel. Joseph's death begins a 20-year period according to the book of Jasher, wherein all the patriarchs of Israel die off, leaving only Joseph's sons Manasseh and Ephraim alive after 1565 BC. The order of their deaths and ages is Zebulun at 114, Simeon at 120, Reuben at 125, Dan at 123, Issachar at 122, Asher at 123, Gad at 125, Judah at 129, Naphtali at 129, and Levi the last at 137. Interestingly, coins from Egypt once thought to be amulets bear Joseph's name in hieroglyphics, as well as his Egyptian title, Saba Sabani, the coins having an image of Joseph with a cow, a reference to Pharaoh's dream of the 7 fat cows followed by the 7 lean cows, the famine. This was publicised by Dr. Said Mohammed Tabet of Egypt in 2009 AD. According to Augustine, at the death of Joseph in Egypt, the 4th king of Argos still reigned in southern Greece, Argus. That the ancient chroniclers like Marcus Varro and those before him so diligently recorded the dynasty of Old Mycenae denotes the importance of this government to the ancients. This people were the direct descendants not of Japheth, Shem or Ham, but of Noah and Namar, a lineage born after the flood and founded by the powerful Anakim. Toward the end of the year, we arrive at the 72nd year since the Israelites moved into Egypt, thus concluding the narrative of the book of Genesis. 1. Testament of Simeon. 2. Jasher. 4. World Net Daily, cited by William Dankerbring, Augustine, City of God, Book 18. 1584 BC, 23:11 AM. Sometime during the previous year when Joseph died, the grandson of Esau named Zepho and his kin escaped Egypt, after 54 years of bondage under the Israelites. Zepho escapes to Libya and becomes a war general under King Angeas, beginning his 50 years of rule to 1534 BC. At that time King Angeas desires to marry a beautiful daughter of a man named Uzu, who was regarded as a local god in Italia among the Chittim. Her name was Jania. After formally requesting the girl, the Chittim refused him because they had arranged her marriage to someone else. King Angeas of Libya was enraged, and allied with Sardinia, he made war against the Chittim. Hearing of the alliance, King Turnus of Chittim launched his ships from Italia to Sardinia and defeated them. Then the Libyans sailed to Italia and fought Turnus between two places called Alphanu and Roma, a pre-Roman site, and the Chittim were defeated. Jania was captured and taken to King Angeas. This begins the ancestral hatred between Italy, Rome, and northern Africa, Libya and Carthage. It is known that sailing from Egypt to Rome takes 16 days, but Libya is closer than Egypt. The people called Romans have not yet arrived to Italia. They would arrive and then amalgamate with the local populace. For this reason, the early Jews called the Romans by the name of Kittim. Zepho took part in these battles. 1. Jasher. 3. The Jesus Papers. 1581 BC, 23:14 AM. Zepho, grandson of Esau and general over King Angeus' army in Libya, has repeatedly tried to persuade King Angeus to make war against Egypt. It is widely known that the political situation in Egypt is unstable. The shepherd king's power base in Assyria and Mesopotamia has weakened by the Hittite takeover. But Zepho's true ambition is revenge against the Israelites for the death of his grandfather Esau and his enslavement for 54 years. But King Angeus refuses. Enraged, Zepho travels to Chittim, Italia, and lives among the populace, becoming a hero when he kills a strange creature hiding in caves that had been killing off local livestock. This begins the line of Esau among the people of Italy, a spirit of hatred against the Israelites that would manifest over and over throughout history in the annals of Rome and Europe. This date is precisely 828 years, 414 plus 414, or two cursed earth periods, before the 753 BC famous founding of Rome. Back in Libya in this year, Queen Jania of Chittim, who married King Angeus of Libya, fell ill, but was made better after ships sent to Italia returned with water and soil from her homeland. 1 Jasher. 1580 BC, 23:15 AM. Libyan ships plundered the coasts of Chittim, Italia. Zepho, now a hero among the people of Chittim, assembled a force of locals and began repelling the Libyans, which resulted in the people electing him as king. Zepho built an army almost overnight and set out and conquered Sicily and other islands, and began extending his domain through all of Italia. 1 Jasher. 1576 BC, 23:19 AM. Thutmose II of Egypt died, and he is succeeded by Amenhotep. His wife is the famous Queen Hatshepsut, who enjoyed a reign of 21 years of peace. In this year, Thutmose III is born, a man who would later overthrow his mother and initiate a heavy oppression over Israel. Amenhotep is a native Egyptian ruler under the Hyksos dynasty, but Hatshepsut is an Amorite princess, now a queen. A reference to Phoenix is found in a Greek papyrus translation of an older Egyptian text, dating from the reign of Amenhotep, for in the Typhon time the sun is veiled. Typhon is etymologically related to Phoenix. The Egyptians too knew that it darkened the sun. There is no evidence that Phoenix appeared during the reign of Amenhotep. This is merely an Egyptian reference to the phenomenon. Phoenix would not appear until 1549 BC, 6 years after the death of Amenhotep. This is the 81st year since the Israelites took up residence in Egypt. 1 Ages in Chaos, Volume 1. 1567 BC, 23:28 AM. This is 40 years after the Canaanite invasion of Egypt, instigated by Esau's sons in 1607 BC, that was slaughtered by the force of defending Israelites. This prior invasion was in the reign of Thutmose I, also called Ahmose. After the Canaanite invaders were defeated, the Egyptians made deep incursions into Canaan and further north to Syria, this being a Hyksos dynasty occupation from their centre at Lower Egypt. Now in 1567 BC, the king of Kadesh in northern Syria leads a confederacy of Syrians, Hittites and Canaanites into Egypt. This invasion is unsuccessful, for Thutmose III defeated the confederacy at Megiddo, Valley of Armageddon. But Kadesh still posed a threat. The name Kadesh means holy city, and some researchers believe that this is a reference to the city of Jerusalem, a popular Canaanite stronghold. Thutmose III now begins a series of 17 military campaigns against Canaan and Syria. The historical archaeological record perfectly complements the chronological record of the Book of Jasher. The dating of this event is precise. The international politics behind the Syrian Confederation is due to the Hittite presence in the north and northeast, as well as the waning of the Amorite powers that strengthened what the Egyptian terms as the Hyksos foreign rulers. The land of Canaan and Syria were a buffer zone between two empires, the Hittites and Amorites. The calendrics for this year are astonishing. As this involved a major historical war fought at Armageddon, We find it interesting that this is the exact midpoint in the entire Anunnaki chronology. The 7344 years, 2448 times 3, of the entire chronology, which is also encoded within the chronometry of the Great Pyramid. 1567 BC is 3672 years before Armageddon, and also 3672 years into the Anunnaki chronology, which began in 5239 BC. 3672 plus 3672 was 7344. This year is the 1872nd year, 144 times 13, from the descendant of the Watchers in 3439 BC, and the 90th year, 1080 months, since the Israelites entered Egypt in 1657 BC. 1. Hitchhiker's Guide to Armageddon.